For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On the morning of May 12, 2006, 29-year-old Rohan Delgado began his historic first descent attempt on Mount Everest's treacherous north face. He never resurfaced below the cliff band. Despite an extensive high-altitude search involving his partner Lucas Gran and Tibetan SAR teams, Rohan Delgado vanished without a trace, lost somewhere within the unforgiving expanse of the Northern Couloir. For 11 agonizing years, his family, friends, and the extreme skiing community lived with the crushing weight of uncertainty, clinging to dwindling hope. Then, in the fall of 2017, using groundbreaking satellite topography analysis, a discovery was made, one that promised to finally explain the chilling fate of the legendary skier. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Rohan Delgado. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. Rohan Delgado, at 29 years old, was not merely a climber. He was a high-altitude skier of exceptional caliber, a man whose ambition pushed the boundaries of human endurance and skill. His 2006 expedition to Mount Everest was conceived not just as an ascent, but as a groundbreaking first descent attempt down one of the world's most formidable faces. Delgado possessed a rare blend of technical prowess and an almost innate understanding of the mountain's capricious nature, qualities that had earned him renown in the extreme sports community. This particular undertaking, however, represented the pinnacle of his aspirations, a challenge few dared even to contemplate. The chosen route for his descent was the north face of Everest, a realm of unforgiving rock, ice, and thin air, leading into the notorious Northern Couloir. This steep, narrow gully scarred into the mountain's upper reaches was a known gauntlet, infamous for its extreme exposure, unpredictable icefalls, and the ever-present threat of avalanches. It was a place where errors were not merely costly, but often final. The air thinned to a quarter of sea level density, and temperatures plummeted to lethal extremes, transforming every movement into an arduous battle for survival. On that fateful day, as Delgado initiated his descent, the meticulously planned first descent attempt turned catastrophic. High on the couloir, a critical anchor, a snow picket hammered into the dense ice, failed under pressure. The sudden violent snap severed his connection to the mountain, triggering an uncontrolled fall. His partner, Lucas Gran, witnessed the horrifying event unfold from a vantage point just above. Gran's shouts were swallowed by the vast silence of the mountain as Delgado tumbled downwards, accelerating into the abyss. The immediate aftermath was one of stunned horror and desperate urgency. Gran, paralyzed by the suddenness of the event, could only watch as Rohan Delgado vanished from sight. Below the cliff band, where the couloir opened onto a broader snowfield, Delgado never resurfaced. The mountain had claimed him, swallowing him whole. Lucas Gran, along with the other members of their small expedition team, initiated frantic, immediate attempts to locate him. They scoured the treacherous terrain, their voices echoing in the thin air, but there was no trace. The grim reality quickly set in. In such an environment, a fall of that magnitude was almost certainly fatal, and the chances of recovering a body from the shifting ice and snow were virtually non-existent. The North Face, indifferent and monumental, held its new secret close. The immediate hours following Rohan Delgado's disappearance dissolved into a desperate, frantic search. Lucas Gran, still reeling from witnessing his partner's fall, rallied the remaining expedition members. Equipped with rudimentary ropes, ice axes, and an overwhelming sense of urgency, they began to probe the treacherous snowfields below the cliff band where Delgado had vanished. The extreme altitude, already a debilitating factor, now magnified their exhaustion, turning every movement into a monumental effort. Blinding winds whipped across the north face, reducing visibility and chilling them to the bone. The vastness of the terrain, combined with the unstable nature of the snow and ice, rendered their efforts almost immediately futile. It became clear that a conventional search and rescue operation, as understood in less extreme environments, was impossible here. As news filtered down the mountain, the involvement of Dorje Lobsang, the Tibetan search and rescue liaison, became critical. Lobsang, experienced in the grim realities of Everest's casualties, understood the profound limitations of any high-altitude recovery attempt on the North Face. Protocols dictated a thorough assessment, but the sheer scale of the mountain and the dynamic environment often precluded anything beyond a superficial sweep. Initial theories among the team and Lobsang centered on the immediate fate of Delgado's body. Had he been instantly buried by the impact and subsequent snowfall, swept into one of the many unseen crevasses that riddle the glacier? Or perhaps, as many experienced mountaineers grimly speculated, had he been carried away by a nascent icefall, destined to become entombed within the mountain's shifting blue ice? The challenges were insurmountable. The altitude alone made sustained physical exertion dangerous. The terrain was a labyrinth of hidden dangers, unstable seracs, deep crevasses, and the constant threat of further avalanches. Even if a location could be pinpointed, reaching it would require an elaborate high-risk operation, for which the expedition lacked the resources, and the Tibetan authorities lacked the immediate capacity in such a remote, hostile sector. Days bled into a week, then two, with no sign of Rohan Delgado. The official pronouncement followed, a somber formality confirming the inevitable. Rohan Delgado was declared missing, presumed dead. For Lucas Gran and Delgado's family, this declaration offered no true solace, only a devastating uncertainty, a wound left open by the mountain's impenetrable silence. The images of those initial search parties, small figures battling the immense indifferent white, underscored the profound helplessness against Everest's unyielding power, a power that held its secrets tightly. The raw, immediate grief eventually gave way to a different kind of pain, one that deepened with the relentless passage of time. 11 years passed since Rohan Delgado vanished into the unforgiving embrace of Mount Everest. A decade and more of birthdays, holidays, and anniversaries came and went, each marked by his absence, each a stark reminder of the void he left behind. For Lucas Gran, the harrowing memory of Delgado's final moments remained vivid, yet the precise circumstances of his partner's fate continued to elude him, a constant gnawing uncertainty. Rohan's family too lived with this unresolved agony, unable to find the definitive closure that a recovered body or even a confirmed resting place might have offered. During these long years, no new evidence surfaced from the vast, indifferent expanse of the North Face. The initial desperate searches yielded nothing, and the mountain, a silent, formidable tomb, held its secrets tight. There were no further clues, no fragments of gear, no shifting ice revealing a trace of what had happened to Delgado after his fall. The case, once a frantic, immediate crisis, slowly faded into the annals of Everest's unrecovered dead, becoming another name on a long, tragic list of those swallowed by its immense power. The sheer scale and dynamic nature of the environment ensured that any remains would either be deeply buried under countless tons of snow, entombed within the slow, creeping blue ice of the glacier, or simply swept into an inaccessible crevasse, lost forever to human reach. The Norton Couloir, the scene of Delgado's disappearance, remained a constantly shifting landscape. Glaciers advanced and receded, snow accumulated and melted, avalanches reshaped its contours, and seracs carved with thunderous roars. What might have been visible one season could be buried under meters of ice the next, only to be exposed again decades later, or never. This ceaseless transformation underscored the profound difficulty of solving such a mystery through conventional means. Hope for a traditional recovery, or for any definitive answer, slowly diminished, replaced by a quiet, somber acceptance of the mountain's enduring grip. Rohan Delgado's story became a testament to Everest's power, a poignant reminder that even in an era of advanced exploration, some mysteries remained beyond human grasp, swallowed by the cold majesty of the world's highest peak. The world below Everest had not stood still, even as the mountain guarded its secrets. Over the decade following Rohan Delgado's disappearance, a silent revolution had taken place in the realm of remote sensing. Satellite imaging technology, once a nascent field, had matured dramatically. High-resolution sensors now orbited the Earth, capable of capturing unprecedented detail of the planet's surface, including the most remote and challenging environments. This new era brought forth historic high-res satellite snow topography, a method that allowed for the precise mapping and tracking of subtle changes in ice and snow formations over extended periods. It was a tool that could, theoretically, peel back layers of time from the most inaccessible landscapes. Into this new technological landscape stepped Dr. May Okoye, a geospatial analyst whose expertise lay in interpreting complex environmental data from satellite imagery. Dr. Okoye specialized in remote sensing, applying her skills to a variety of geological and glaciological studies. Her work often involved analyzing historical satellite archives to understand long-term changes in ice sheets, glaciers, and mountainous regions. It was during a comprehensive re-examination of historic Everest data, not specifically focused on cold cases, but rather on glacial dynamics, that she inadvertently stumbled upon a critical anomaly in the vicinity of the Northern Couloir, the very site of Delgado's disappearance. The key clue emerged from patterns in the snow topography. Dr. Okoye identified a distinct serac fall line, an observable path etched into the mountain's surface by the descent of a massive block of glacial ice. Seracs are unstable, towering formations of ice that can suddenly carve off glaciers, often triggering significant avalanches or icefalls. The presence of this fall line in the immediate area where Rohan Delgado was last seen was more than a mere geological observation. It was a potential link to the incident. While not direct evidence of Delgado himself, it pointed to a powerful destructive event that occurred around the time of his fall. Dr. Okoye's initial hypothesis was cautious, formed from the confluence of the historical record and the new data. She theorized that a major serac fall, or a related icefall event, had occurred in the Northern Couloir, possibly triggered by the vibrations of Delgado's fall, or perhaps even contributing to the anchor failure itself. Such an event would have unleashed an enormous volume of ice and snow, capable of burying a body deep within the glacial system or sweeping it far away. The identification of this serac fall line, visible across multiple satellite images from the period, offered the first concrete, albeit indirect, piece of evidence in 11 years, suggesting a more dynamic and violent end to Rohan Delgado's descent than previously understood. This faint, yet undeniable scar on the mountain's face began to reshape the narrative of his disappearance, transforming a cold case into an active, technologically driven investigation. The identification of the serac fall line by Dr. May Okoye did more than just add a geological footnote to Rohan Delgado's disappearance. It ignited a flicker of hope, transforming a cold case into a new, scientifically driven investigation. The initial cautious hypothesis, born from a singular observation, now demanded a deeper, more systematic inquiry. The objective was clear: to leverage the full power of modern satellite technology to reconstruct the environmental events surrounding Delgado's final moments. Dr. Okoye and her team embarked on a meticulous re-examination of all available historic satellite imagery covering the Northern Couloir and its immediate vicinity. This was not a quick scan, but a painstaking chronological review, tracking subtle shifts in snow depth, ice formations, and surface textures across multiple seasons and years. They looked for anomalies, for changes that defied typical glacial movement, specifically seeking evidence of significant events around 2006, the year of Delgado's fall. Each image, captured at different times and under varying conditions, offered a unique piece of a complex puzzle, allowing them to map the mountain's surface with unprecedented detail and track its evolution over time. The analytical challenge lay in correlating these environmental observations with the known details of Delgado's accident, specifically the reported anchor-failed event. Dr. Okoye sought to determine if the serac fall line indicated a singular, massive event that could explain the disappearance, or if it was part of a larger, more complex sequence of failures. The satellite data, while powerful, could only show the aftermath of an event, not necessarily its precise cause or the exact fate of a human body. Interpreting subtle changes from hundreds of kilometers above the Earth required careful validation and an understanding of the mountain's dynamic processes. To refine her hypothesis, Dr. Okoye consulted with glaciologists and high-altitude mountaineering experts, attempting to contextualize the satellite data within the harsh realities of Everest's north face. She also reached out to Lucas Gran, Delgado's climbing partner, seeking to corroborate the timing and nature of the observed environmental changes with Gran's vivid, albeit traumatic, recollection of the incident. This painstaking work began to construct a compelling, data-driven narrative. The evidence suggested not just a simple anchor failure, but a potentially more complex interaction between human action and the mountain's volatile nature. A new testable hypothesis began to form, that Rohan Delgado's fall, or the event that precipitated it, might have coincided with, or even triggered, a localized powerful icefall, burying him deep within the glacier. The cold case was now infused with the precision of scientific inquiry, pointing towards a chilling, yet potentially definitive, understanding of his fate. The painstaking multi-year imagery analysis by Dr. Okoye's team entered a critical phase, employing advanced algorithms to detect even the most subtle, historical shifts in the northern couloir's snow and ice. This was not merely looking at pictures. It involved comparing topographical maps generated from satellite data across an 11-year span, searching for anomalies that might correlate with the 2006 incident. The sheer volume of data was immense, but the precision of their methods began to yield results. Then came the pivotal discovery, the reviravolta that transformed the cold case. Through the meticulous layering of historic images, Dr. Okoye's software identified a distinct debris cone. This was not a natural, recurring feature of the couloir. It was a localized accumulation of fractured ice and snow, precisely situated at the point where Rohan Delgado's snow picket had failed. The initial report, stating simply that an anchor failed, now gained chilling specificity. It was a snow picket, a crucial piece of safety equipment driven into the compacted snow and ice, and its failure had initiated a catastrophic chain of events. The debris cone was the undeniable signature of that failure, a testament to the immense force unleashed at that exact spot. A debris cone in such an environment is not formed by chance. It signifies a point of impact, a collapse, or a sudden dislodgement of material. In this context, it indicated that Rohan Delgado's fall was not merely a slip, but a violent, destructive event that fractured the very surface of the mountain where he had been anchored. More critically, the multi-year imagery revealed a consistent pattern. The debris cone once formed showed signs of slow, inexorable movement. This provided the chilling confirmation that the evidence pointed to a fatal fall and subsequent transport under blue ice. Blue ice, dense and compressed glacial ice, is notoriously unforgiving. When a body becomes incorporated into it, it is not merely buried, it becomes part of the glacier itself, trapped within its frozen matrix, moving with its imperceptibly slow yet powerful flow. For Dr. Okoye, the moment of revelation was profound, a confluence of scientific triumph and somber realization. After years of silence, the mountain had finally yielded a definitive answer, albeit one that offered no hope of recovery. The news was conveyed to Lucas Gran, who, after 11 years of agonizing uncertainty, finally received a precise, scientific explanation for his partner's disappearance. For Rohan Delgado's family, the truth, however stark, offered a form of closure that had long been denied, replacing a lingering question mark with a chilling, yet certain understanding of his final resting place within Everest's frozen heart. The satellite imagery, meticulously analyzed over an 11-year span by Dr. May Okoye's team, provided the undeniable, chilling proof of Rohan Delgado's fate. The identification of the precise debris cone where his snow picket failed, coupled with clear evidence of subsequent transport under blue ice, offered a definitive scientific explanation for his disappearance. After more than a decade of agonizing uncertainty, the cold case was finally closed, not with a recovery, but with a precise understanding of the mountain's lethal embrace. For Lucas Gran, the news brought a complex mix of profound grief and long-sought, albeit painful, closure. The traumatic memory of Rohan's fall had always been shadowed by the question of what truly happened next. Now he understood. Rohan was not simply lost. He was entombed within the glacier, an eternal part of the Everest landscape he had so passionately challenged. Rohan's family, too, found a similar, somber peace. The absence remained, but the gnawing uncertainty had finally ceased. The truth, however stark, allowed them to mourn not a missing person, but a soul whose final resting place, though inaccessible, was now known. This case transcended personal tragedy, validating the profound potential of remote sensing technology in forensic mountaineering. Dr. Okoye's innovative application of historic high-resolution satellite topography demonstrated that even the most inaccessible and dynamic environments could yield their secrets to persistent scientific inquiry. It set a new precedent for how cold cases in extreme landscapes might be re-examined, offering hope for other families whose loved ones have vanished into the world's highest peaks. The science had spoken, transforming a seemingly impossible mystery into a solvable equation. Mount Everest, however, retained its formidable legacy. While technology could reveal the truth of Rohan Delgado's end, it could not alter the mountain's inherent power or its indifference to human endeavor. The North Face remained a stark reminder that even with advanced equipment, the ultimate dominion belonged to nature. Everest continued to be a magnificent yet terrifying tomb for many, a place where human ambition met the unyielding forces of the planet. Rohan Delgado's legacy extended beyond his remarkable achievements as a high-altitude skier. His tragic disappearance, once a testament to the mountain's inscrutable nature, unexpectedly contributed to a significant advancement in forensic analysis, pushing the boundaries of what remote sensing could achieve. His story became a poignant illustration of the human desire for answers, the relentless perseverance of those who seek truth, and the awe-inspiring yet terrifying majesty of a world that still holds profound mysteries within its frozen heart.